Morning, everybody. Rusty from the Rusty Razor. Have another shave of the day for you. And today we're going to be doing Proraso Red. Nice scent on this. But sandalwood. It's kind of interesting is that you got kind of that greenish sandalwood scent coming across. Kind of like the white and the green Proraso. But the interesting thing is when you lather this up, you get more of that sandalwood, and it almost starts smelling like agar from Sterling. It has some of the same scent profile, which is kind of nice because I like the agar. All right, and today we're going to be doing the 1964 Gillette Slim with some Gillette Wilkinson blades. Third use on these. So going to be a nice little combination. Used them before. Works great for me. And then we'll follow up with a little bit of Old Spice. Now, the interesting thing, this was my grandfather's, on my mom's side, this was his razor. So that's the nice thing about it. It's like the old tradition keeps on giving. All right. Well, yeah. Put a little bit of moisture on the face here. I do have a spray bottle. I could spray myself. But I use it for misting my plants, so it's in the way over the other room, so I'd have to drag it in here. I suppose I could, but if I wanted to. All right, let's see, about a quarter size amount, and it's got a nice little body, kind of the old Jeffrey Smith trippy, and it's flopping everywhere there, but you can see it's working pretty good. It's nice. It's even falling off the brush. You know, I keep thinking one of these days I need to swap my brush out. This is the brush I always have sitting right here on the countertop, and it always gets used all the time. I do have other brushes, but it's like I have to go reach up over there and grab them. And for convenience, I like this brush. It was cheap too. It only cost me like $5. It's got nice, it's synthetic. I do have some Badger brushes. I got other synthetic brushes that I could use. But hey, if it works, it works. And I'm just happy because I like it's got a nice hard body, and it's not a really heavy. It's put these at 22, something like that. Not much into the brushology type stuff. To me, a brush is a brush. I guess a Badger brush, it takes more effort to soak it. Synthetic brushes, you just go and use. So, all right, this is on setting 3. I guess what I'm saying is that I'm not into brushes at all. It's like a brush to me is a brush. You find one you like and you use it. Heck, I use the same brush for decades. It's up there somewhere. Not sure exactly where it is. Of all the brushes I have, it's up there somewhere. It was one my dad gave me when I got my first Schick razor, that Corona. He gave that to me, and it's like I use it forever and a day. I remember when I pulled it out of the box where everything was stored, and I was like, opened it up, and it's like the brush still smelled like Old Spice shaved soap. It's like, oh yeah, that was the last time I used it, was using it with my Old Spice soap. Yeah, bladed. Ooh. Yeah, not sure if I snagged my scars or not. Not sure. I felt like it did, but I'm not seeing any blood. But yeah, I have a lot of A lot of goodies. Not as much as a lot of people. Most of my stuff, I inherited a lot of stuff. And, I got it from my grandfather. My dad gave me a bunch of stuff. So, I'm kind of late to the, what you would call modern shaving gear. I'm a fossil. Bygone years. I keep thinking, it's like one of these days I'm going to go down into the basement, into the storage area, and pull out all of my Avon containers. I got a bunch of Avon aftershaves. Some still have aftershave in them. So I'm just curious what I got. I had a whole bunch of stuff. It was like, I think I still have there's leather and obviously Wild Country. There might be a was it Taj? I think Thai. I think Thai Winds. Thai Winds. I think it is another interesting one. It was like I've said before, like on my mom's side, my grandmother was a Avon saleswoman. She sold Avon. Well, that was one thing you always guaranteed you're going to get some type of aftershave for her men in her life. It's like, there you go. It's like, you two boys are shaving. Here's some Avon. It's like, okay, thanks, Grandma. I'm still using the one you gave me last year. I'll keep adding to the collection. It's like, I loved her dearly. And I was just last week, it's like I was talking about grandparents and history, and it's like, I remember when I was a kid, sitting there with my one grandfather. He was talking, and he was born in around 1900, and he would talk about, this is on my mom's side, and he would tell stories about his grandfather that would talk, share stories with him. And his grandfather was, during the Civil War times. And his grandfather, he would talk about what his grandfather's stories of, like, during the War of 1812. Like, you're listening to family stories about what your grandparents were talking about in American history. And it's like stuff you read in the book. And then you're listening to your grandparents talking about their grandparents who talked to their grandparents who went through all this family history. And it didn't take too many generations. You look like some families, 6 generations go back to the revolution. There's a lot of history. Like, I know a lot of Americans are immigrants. Well, everybody in this continent's an immigrant. Doesn't matter who you are. We're all one way or another. It's like, you go far back enough, you're an immigrant. But, you have family members that I have, like on my mom's side, they go back to the 1600s. Cut off my mole bump or whatever you call that thing. And they came over in the 1600s on the ship and settled in Virginia. It's like, came over from Germany. Like, a lot of Germans went into, like, Pennsylvania. Some, went into Virginia. Settled in there and they had a very large farm-like plantation, I guess. So, they were doing fairly well until, it's like from the family history says, until this little conflict between the North and the South. And it ended up, well, both sides kind of caused major havoc in that area. Just put it that way. Now they got burned out. You know, part of the family, it's like, it was like you had, you know, the one brother had the plantation. The other one's like, okay, I'm going to go elsewhere. And he went into Ohio. And he had a very large farm in Ohio that he had, you know, had people working it and everything. And they, well, they still got a lot left. Look at that. It's like, wow, I got more than enough. And after the war, the family left Virginia and went into Ohio. You know, that's where the family was, so it's like they got some support there and helped him with the farming there in Ohio. And then he eventually kept moving west, and then about 1870s, about the same time, my dad's grandfather moved into Iowa. They both, about the same time, moved into Iowa and started farming in Iowa. They were doing fairly well. It's like my grandfather was doing fairly well with the farming until this little thing called the Depression hit. And to supplement the poor economic environment when it comes to farming, well, you know, you grow corn, you harvest corn, and what can you do with corn? You make whiskey out of it. And it was sort of kind of in the late 20s and early 30s, my grandfather, well, he was producing a lot of whiskey that was going to Chicago. And he said he would make a trip about once a month to Chicago. His truck would show up with a couple guys, and he would load them up, and occasionally they would make him help drive the truck to Chicago. And he got paid. There was a lot of that going on. It's like you had a little still that he would produce for, and they would drive back, bring him back with some barrels, and he would fill them back up, you know. It was kind of a, you listen to this story, you're like, wow, Grandpa. Yeah, he had all kinds of good stuff that he would tell stories about. That these guys were kind of a no nonsense kind of guys. And they were carrying a 12 gauge shotgun and a 45. A lot of them were World War I vets. So, my grandfather was a bootlegger. You always think about that kind of stuff happening in like Kentucky, Tennessee, you know, the Appalachian Mountains. But it was happening here in Iowa too. A lot of corn. And about late 30s and the 40s, he decided to sell the farm and open himself up a garage. He said he wanted to volunteer for during World War II, but he was too old by that time. He's like, oh, sorry, old man, you're too old. Help with other things. So, kind of rough times. But his little brother did get drafted, and he was in Europe to the European campaign. Have you ever heard of the Remagen Bridge? He was there. Helped capture that. And earned a Silver Star for gallantry on the bridge. Like he had his buddy he got shot. His buddy was shot and wounded and fell into the river, and he jumped in the river and saved his life. Got himself a Silver Star for that. Pretty nasty campaign. He was scarred for life, let's put it that way. Mentally and physically. So if you know any veterans that are having problems, don't forget them. There's a lot of us out there. Heck, we should be coming. Oh yeah, we're coming up on Veterans Day here soon, on the 11th of November. That's like next week. I did catch myself there. Yep. Now you can see why I do setting 3. It doesn't take much to start carving up my scar tissue. All right. I think we got it. There we go. All right. A little bit of Old Spice. It smells good. Nice little combination between the Proraso Red and the Old Spice. And just a little weeper. Well, it seems to be wanting to close up. Alright, shave of the day. Proraso Red. Sandalwood. It's like, I wish I would have bought this one first. I'm not a big fan of the green or the white. It's like the white and the green smell like weeds. The red does have that scent profile part of it, but the sandalwood brings it to life. Makes it enjoyable for me. So, Proraso Red. There you go. And then we have the Gillette Slim 1964 with some Gillette Wilkinson blades. And even at setting 3, it's doing a job on my face. Nice and smooth. Nice shave. Feels really good. But just a little bit of weepage. Alright, so that is the shave of the day. Hope you guys liked this one. Hit the like button. Subscribe. If you're new to the channel, say something. Say hi. And hope you guys like this one. And we'll see you in the next one. Rusty out.